Hi folks, this here be Ichabod, and today is a very special day. It's February 12th. You think, well, what's that? Oh, that's the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, born February 12th, 1809. Well, there was another very influential man born that day named Charles Darwin. Y'all know or heard of him. Charles Darwin, he was the one that came up with a theory of evolution that explained how creatures came to be through a slow, gradual process of change, being selected out, natural selection they call it, by the conditions that creatures lived in, and then creatures changed over time, and eventually they became us and all the creatures we see around us, which is also changes, but so gradual that you can't see it unless out looking out over the span of geologic time. Well, some folks are not real comfortable with that theory, and maybe they don't understand it, and they sometimes I've gotten bushwhacked by some of them folks. I'll tell you about it. Well, years ago, I used to be a nature guide. I'd take people on walks like a naturalist, and they'd take them out in nature and explain lots of things that we saw out there and we found, and that can be a dangerous profession because you sometimes run into people that don't like what you have to say. For instance, I was on this walk and I was showing people a bunch of fossils. That was like forms of creatures that had lived in the sea like almost 400 million years ago. And none of these creatures live anymore. Some of their relatives do. And I was explaining how they all got covered up with mud and buried under the sea, and all that mud turned to rock, and here we found them. And anyway, there was this guy. He wasn't on a nature walk. He was just sitting there on a ledge, and he said, that's just a theory, right? That's just a theory. And I said, yeah, it's a scientific theory. It's supported by an enormous amount of evidence and overwhelming amount of evidence. And he just didn't understand. I guess he had just didn't know much about science book, as it says in that song. Because in science, a theory is a strong working explanation for phenomena that is supported by evidence. And one thing about a theory, theories themselves evolve with time as you get new evidence and new perspectives. So the theory of evolution itself has evolved. The theory, geologic theories and so forth. They change with time, but it don't mean they're wrong. Another time I was leading a nature walk on that trail, and I had this real friendly family, real nice folks actually, and there's this one young man who was sort of the patriarch, and he kind of did all the talking to me and so forth from this family, and I said, oh, this nice folks, and we went out on the trail, and I started off and I said, 10,000 years ago, the ice age or something other, and he looked at me and said, wait a minute, you got to understand something. We believe the world is 6,000 years old. I said, oh. Well, I wasn't going to be contrary. I decided I'd just adjust my nature walk, and I said, okay, things like before the dinosaurs and after the dinosaurs, I made everything sort of in line with each other, but I didn't add no numbers on it. And they were happy with that, and they got to the end of the walk, and he said to me, he says, I want you to come and talk to us about down there, we talk about apparent time. See, there's this thing called apparent time. That God, he made the world look like it is billions of years old, millions of years old. But actually, it ain't. He just made it look that way. And that's apparent time. And it just, I don't know why they think that. But anyway, I said, okay, I think these theories probably were all accepted by the churches, mainstream churches around 1900, so I don't think we really need to talk about that, but thank you just the same. And I went home and I told a friend about that, and he said, my goodness, you mean that feller thinks that God was so deceptive as to try to deceive us with things in our rational minds? We try to figure it out and we're actually being fooled? That God would be so deceptive? Oh, he has a very low opinion of God. After that nature walk, I was down at the end of the trail, and this other guy, he came up to me, and he had been eavesdropping on me nature walk. And he just wanted to ask me what it's all about. He was kind of funny looking guy with suspenders and a straw hat. Looked like me, actually, except he was real young. And he asked me when I tell you, I said, oh, well, this guy, he's all interested. I told him all about the Ice Age and about the formation of sedimentary rocks in the millions of years and all this kind of stuff that I tell people about. And he looked at me and then he said, "You're going to hell! You're going to hell!" And he walked off to his car yelling, "You're going to hell!"